Well, good morning, everybody. Here we are on a beautiful, sunny, clear, fairly cold October day, 30th of October, 11 a.m. This is one of my quick midweek check-ins for the Change One Thing Challenge 2019. So I told you I wanted to talk about time blocking. Now, this is something that I have discussed with several people over the last few days, and what we do with our time. We all have the same amount of time in a day, it's how we choose to use it. We talked a little bit about the fact that if you're doing something you enjoy, time flies, whereas if you're doing something that you feel you need to, time seems to slow down. And some of that is due to the fact that we are clock watching. So I wanted to go into a little bit more detail to try and help you think about different ways that you can allocate your time. You know that I think a great deal of the teachings of Gavin Mountford. You know that I have shared with you previously his content matrix grid, all copyrighted here by Gavin. You know that I have talked about the benefits that he's given to me. Well, one of the things he talked about was actually sorting out his calendar. Now, we all have different things in our life, things that maybe get in the way. For him, he has 2 young children and a school run to factor in. And it's really a priority for him to do that school run, especially now that his wife has decided she's going back to develop her teaching skills. She's a primary school teacher. So he needs to be able to do that school run to drop the kids off and pick them up at the end of the day. So he talks about being run by your diary. And I want to share with you this week's diary, which I've printed off. So I don't necessarily need you to see what's written against each time block, but can you see that I have different colours and I have white spaces? So what I have done is taken the things that are important to me and I've given them a colour. So for example, dark blue is business, salmony pink is family, orange, which you may or may not be able to see too well on here, I don't know, orange is exercise, and lime green is leisure. Now, these 2 bits here are actually yesterday and Monday, so they've gone into a slightly greyed out type area, and they look like they're the same colour. So how do you go about plotting into your calendar what you need to do? Well, I always thought that you needed to put business first and fit everything else around business. Gavin challenged that thinking. Gavin suggested that actually you work out what is priority to you, what you absolutely want to concentrate on, and you put the family stuff in first, because actually, what's the point of building a business if you have no family to go back to? What's the point of regaining your health if you haven't got anyone to share your healthy later life with? So that was quite a revelation to me. Many years ago, when I did my certificate of education training, the very, very first week, the tutor stood in front of us and said, your homework for this week is to go home and to take your calendar and to mark into that calendar everything that is non-negotiable. And she made us laugh. She said, if you absolutely have to watch Coronation Street, you block out that time on your calendar as unavailable. The time it takes you to do the shopping, the washing, the ironing, the cooking, the school run, your day-to-day work, because there are people who are coming to my lives who actually go and work in a similar 9 to 5 but have side gigs on top. This isn't exclusively for people who are self-employed. So what she asked us to do was go away and come back with a grid that said, between the time that I get up in the morning and the time that I standardly go to bed at night, how much free time have I got? Because that would determine how much free time we had to do our homework. Now, that was a very clever way of getting us to think at a very early stage. How much free time have I got that I can give to this? And actually, if you found that you didn't have sufficient time, what am I willing to give up in my non-negotiables in order to allow me to do that homework? Well, I've never been a soap girl, so, you know, if there were any EastEnders or Coronation Street or Emmerdale, that went straight away. So I do the same now. And typically for me, I try and keep Saturday clear. Saturday for me is a day that I sit back and maybe I watch the cooking programs until lunchtime. Maybe I get dressed at lunchtime. Maybe I'm already dressed, don't know. But Saturdays are my sit back and regenerate day. However, if I've had a day in the week where I've taken time out to go and do something, Saturday becomes a work day. So I have that flexibility. I believe that I said to you when we were talking about focus that I put things in my diary in half-an-hour slots, because the mind can work in half-an-hour slots. And I can be quite excited about doing something for half an hour and then get up and do something different. So that's why on this you'll see a couple of half-an-hour slots here. You'll also notice, actually you don't on this week, on any other week you would also notice that between 12 and 1 it's blocked out for leisure and it says lunch. My way of eating requires that I don't have carbohydrates. My choice. So therefore, grabbing a quick sandwich is not an option for me, which means that my lunch is about making some miso soup or making some vegetable soup or having some, you know, celery sticks and some sardine dip, something like that, that has protein, that is filling, that has texture, but isn't a bread sandwich. I also rather like bargain hunt, but shh, let's not tell everybody. So I block out that time. That's me time. I block out my evening classes. So on a Wednesday, I have camera club, and on a Thursday, I have creative writing. On this, I've actually blocked out on Saturday evening, Strictly Come Dancing, and on Sunday evening, Strictly Come Dancing, the results show. Because I may not be a soap girl, but I do love my dancing. So I've asked you before to have your calendar rule what you do, to have your calendar remind you of what's coming up, to have your calendar be your boss. So at the end of each day, you can report back to your calendar with what you've done and what you haven't done. We talked about the importance grid, about prioritizing, and Alejandro came back and asked how he could download the grid. I'm really struggling with Facebook at the moment. It won't let me put documents up for some reason. I'm not sure what that is. But I have created a Word document of the importance grid. And any of you that would like that, just send me a message and I will get that Word document to you by Messenger. But as I was looking through Google to see what other resources I could use to help me with today and time blocking, I came across an efficiency versus impact grid, an effort versus impact grid. And I thought, that's interesting. So what this grid says is, if you have something in your task list to do that is low effort but high impact, that's a quick win. And actually, you should do some of those, because quick wins will really help you. They'll make you feel good, they'll row your boat faster, they'll get you to where you want to be. If you have something that is high effort and high impact, a major project, a major body of work, you need to be selective about what you do with that. Remember, you only have a finite amount of time on your diary available, and so you have to weigh off the time it's going to take against the impact it's going to make, and whether that impact is income, whether that impact is a focus on being more healthy, whether that impact is the ability to be more focused. Whatever it is, you need to be selective about your major projects. If you have something that is high effort but really low impact, I just say avoid it. It's not something that actually is going to row your boat any faster. In fact, it's going to slow you down. So I think you need to avoid those. And if you have something that is low effort and low impact, it's called a fill-in. It's great because it will take you forward. It's quick and it's simple. And maybe on those days that you're feeling distracted, it might be that a couple of fill-ins actually make you get yourself back on track and get that motivation. But I thought this was quite a nifty little grid. And again, here it is. I'm going to try and get it up onto Facebook. I may have to do it like I did the importance grid, which was use that as a header picture and create wording around it. But I thought that might be quite useful to use alongside your importance grid to really start to determine how much of the stuff you're doing is rowing your boat faster, getting you closer to your goals, getting you closer to the income you want, the health you want, the shape you want, all of that sort of stuff. So, time blocking. Use your calendar to really identify what time you've got. It's great for me because I use something called Calendly to enable me to do 30-minute discovery calls with people to work out what they need for social media and whether we could work together ongoing. Calendly looks at the white space in my diary that is longer than 30 minutes within a certain period of time, and Calendly then automatically books those appointments in for me. So I'll wake up in the morning and maybe find 2 or 3 appointments have come in. And that's brilliant. I really love that. It does mean that I have to be on top of my diary at any given time. And that's why on Saturday, we're actually going into Oban. But can you see this entry here says travel to Oban? Because it takes us an hour to get there. And while I'm in the car, I don't normally take phone calls, and I certainly couldn't do a discovery call or anything of any importance while I'm driving. For one thing, the drive to Oban is up and over mountains, so we lose signal quite a bit. But I've actually put that in as blocked out time, because I do work for myself. I do work 7 days a week if that's what it needs. But people also want to get to me on a Saturday, so they have to know when they can. So I hope this midweek check-in has been helpful for you in terms of time blocking, has given you some thoughts about what you can do and how that's going to help you actually understand what time you have got. It might help you prioritize, because it might be that you sat down and you've got into a habit of watching Homes Under the Hammer. Kojak and Quincy are on ITV4 in the afternoons at the moment. Maybe that's something that you started to have a cup of tea and watch Quincy, and I don't know, whatever it is, you might find that you've slipped into some habits that you want to change. time blocking and actually writing it down will help you. Those of you that are actually at work and have to work for an employer 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever your hours are, will find time blocking extremely important, because you put in your morning commute, you put in your hours, you put in your evening commute. You will have family stuff that you need to put in there as well. Children may have after school classes. You may have to prep the meal and pack it away. You may have to do the washing and the ironing to get the kids ready for the next day. And you may have to do packed lunches. And it might be that Monday to Friday, if that's what you work, actually between the time that you get up in the morning and the time that you fall exhausted into bed of an evening, you don't have any downtime. And that means that you'll need to look at the weekends and work out how much of your weekend you want to dedicate to whatever you're doing. The other option is you get up earlier or go to bed later. Now, I'm not a great fan of that. I know there are people that are. I'm not a great fan, because I do find that I need my 7 hours sleep. So asking me to work on past 11 o'clock at night, really, you're not going to get the best from me. And asking me to get up at 5:30 in the morning, well, do you know what? I do it when I drive to Glasgow for a 9 o'clock meeting. But the people that are in the car with me from 5:30 onwards will tell you I'm not very communicative, because I'm not that early a morning person. I wake at around 6:30. My Fitbit wakes me every morning at 6:30. At 7 o'clock, I receive my first phone call of the day. Now, that's with a friend. It's not a problem. I'm still actually laid in bed most of the time that I take the call, and that's great, because we're not talking about earth-shattering business decisions. We are just talking. But asking me to get up earlier than that, I don't think I would be most productive. I definitely am a day person. So factor that in when you're time blocking. I'm hoping to be able to do another live from the side of the canal on Friday. I'm hoping that will be about distractions, avoidance of distractions perhaps. I don't know for sure, however, because last week I was fortunate enough to walk on my own. I don't know whether I'll be able to this week, but I will try and get some sort of Facebook Live done for you on Friday. If not, we are back to Zoom calls on Monday. You'll receive your email on Sunday night, which should have the link in it. I will go back and check that. And we will do Zoom. So Facebook Lives like this will go up to YouTube and will be public, because I haven't identified any of you by name. However, our Monday Zoom calls, where you can be seen and where you're talking, will not go as public. They will go up as unlisted, so only those of you with the URL will be able to get them. I hope that's okay for everybody. We're 18 minutes in and I desperately need some more of my tea. So I'll love you and leave you. Have a wonderful day. See you all soon. Bye-bye now.